Everybody, what's going on? Hellmite here, bringing you another video from Grab the Lantern today. Today I wanted to talk about the jungle changes that have actually gone up on the League of Legends forums. The developer Riot has posted his thoughts on how they're going to be tweaking the jungle in patch 8.10. Now, 8.9 will have the mage mana changes, and then we will have the jungle changes. Instead of having all this lumped together in one big mid-season patch, Riot are spreading it out over a few patches to give people things to get adjusted to. So this is still a little ways off. However, it's a good time to talk about it right now while things can still possibly be changed. So, first up, the supposed goals of these jungle changes are to reduce early lane pressure from junglers, increase the number of jungle versus jungle interactions in the early game, and encourage variation in optimal pathing for junglers. Another thing they're looking at doing is reducing mana restraints as a hard blocker for champions that want to jungle. So right now, if you rely on mana to jungle, you're at a significant disadvantage from other junglers that don't. So people like Rek'Sai and Lee Sin will always out jungle a Mumu, for example, because they don't have to worry about mana. So Riot are trying to alleviate those symptoms and allow for more variation and more jungle versus jungle plays, while at the same time reducing early pressure in lanes. So, first thing first, Rift Scuttler is being changed. There will now only be one on the map at any given time. So either in the top jungle or in the bottom jungle, but not in both at the same time. And what this means is that it will have an effect on where you actually want to path, because Riot are also changing the XP gains. More on that in a little bit. But Scuttle will only be at one side or the other. There will be a standard 1 minute in advance jungle marker that'll appear to let you know which side of the river Scuttle Crab will spawn in, but that's a bit more of randomness and variance that will have an effect on where junglers actually want to start if they want to go for the Scuttle Crab earlier in the game. And now to touch on experience, jungle experience is down in the early game. So hitting level 3 isn't as easy as going buff camp buff anymore, which currently would get you straight to 3. Nowadays, or I should say after the changes go through, getting to level 3 will now be 3 camps if you include a Krug clear. So if you go Krugs, Red, Raptors, for example, or any combination thereof. 4 standard camps, so going Red, Raptors, Wolves, Blue will get you to level 3. Or 2 standard camps, so Red Raptors, and then a Scuttler. Now, this is actually going to change things up very interestingly, I think, because obviously 2 camps and a Scuttler is significantly easier to do than going 4 camps or even 3 camps with Krugs, because that's like a guaranteed thing that has to happen if you want to hit level 3 after 3 camps. But 4 camps takes way too long, so everyone will be angling for that Scuttler. And what this means is that junglers now have a choice. If I'm playing an aggressive early jungler like Kayn or Lee Sin, or if I just have CC that can reduce Scuttle Crab's defenses, it makes way more sense for me to go for the early Scuttle Crab, because even if the enemy jungler shows up, I'm Kayn, I'm Lee Sin, I'm going to beat him, and then I'm going to be able to take the Scuttle Crab no problem and hit level 3 off of that, or just be able to kill it faster than they can get there. If I know that they're playing an aggressive early jungler, maybe I don't even want to try to contest the Scuttle Crab. Maybe I'm just going to start Krugs, get a leash there, go to Red, go to Raptors, then gank bottom lane. Or go do those 3, get like a hard leash on Krugs, and then go to the river to contest the Scuttle now that I'm 3, and they might still be doing it at level 2. Scuttle Crab got a significant tankiness buff in these changes, so Scuttle Crab will now have 1200 base health. So it'll be really, really hard to kill. And it spawns at a minute 40. So maybe you even start Scuttle Crab. I don't know. There's a lot of really weird things going on with how this is actually going to play out. And I think that it makes it so that there are going to be significantly more ways to path around. Now, I do think, and this is the first of a few complaints that I have, is that it's way more snowbally, and it makes playing early game junglers a way better strategy than playing anything that needs time to scale up. Because if I'm playing, let's say, Master Yi, or if I'm playing a Mumu and I'm bad early game, I have to jungle way more just to get my experience, because jungle experience is down basically across the board. And that's going to be really difficult and really hard to deal with on these champions. Conversely, if I'm Elise or if I'm Rek'Sai and I already have access to 4 abilities by the time I go for Scuttle Crab, there's nothing you can do to stop me. I'm going to be able to kill it much faster than you, and I'm going to be much better in a fight than you. And once I kill Scuttle Crab, I hit level 3, maybe I just path straight to your buff, especially if I know where you started. So It does feel like it could potentially be more snowball-y than before, which I'm not a big fan of. But the variation in routes, I do think is a good idea because it eases off the sort of cookie-cutter nature of most junglers and puts it back in a position where it makes sense to try and get early vision. And there's a lot more to play around with. And only having one scuttler does help this because you can't just say, well, that's okay, they got the bot scuttler, I'll go for the top scuttler. Doesn't work anymore because there's only going to be one. Now, so I think that's already a big change. The other thing Riot are doing to alleviate mana is that Talisman will return substantially more mana based on your missing mana as you clear the jungle, and Runic Echoes will get some form of buff. We don't know what quite yet, but basically champions will have more mana as they clear the jungle, and mages will have an actual item for them in the jungle. So people like Diana and Fiddlesticks should feel significantly better about actually buying Runic Echoes as opposed to feeling like, well, I guess. So this does partially alleviate issues because, at the very minimum, champions, like I was talking about, like Amumu, won't have as much mana to worry about if they go for that early skirmish, but it does mean that early junglers are still going to be very strong. However, this does sort of get at their goals, which is reduce early lane pressure. I do think that it does because, I mean, it both does and doesn't. Because on one hand, junglers have to clear more camps. I have to do 4 camps if I want to just hit level 3 safely. I have to do 3 camps if I force myself to start Krugs or to get Krugs early, which sort of limits the champion's ability to have a full clear. It really hinders that and makes them take longer, which again reduces their early pressure. Unless I go for Scuttler. But now, let's say there's a game where both teams have, or let's see, one team has a Lee Sin and one team has an Elise, and Scuttler spawns topside. So they both junglers start their topside buff. They take it. They take 1 camp. They're level 2. They go and meet in the river. Well, they both kind of want to fight over this, and it kind of inevitably leads other champions into the fray, which maybe what Riot are looking for is they want more team play with the jungle, as opposed people helping the jungler, as opposed to the jungler just kind of helping everybody else. But it also means that there's more pressure on the laners because you have to be paying attention to that scuttler, and you have to be trying to roam up or down in order to help them. And to a certain extent, that doesn't necessarily alleviate jungle pressure. Like, yeah, I'm not getting ganked, but I'm also not able to continue playing the lane. Maybe it means that you want to be playing high-pressure jungler or high-pressure top laners and mid laners because you can just kind of shove the wave and then move into the river while they're clearing on their tower to help with the Scuttle Crab. Maybe a play you make if you know you have an Amumu. That Amumu starts red, goes to Wolves, then goes to Scuttle Crab. I'm playing Renekton, for example. I just shove in the enemy Maokai, and then I walk into the river at level 2. And that way, I can help the Amumu secure the Scuttle Crab, because even if the enemy Elise shows up, she's 2v1 and may or may not be able to win that. Maokai will miss out on a huge wave if he roams down. Maybe that's a scenario we end up with. At which point, hey, that's kind of cool. Now, it does mean that you are more dependent on your team as a jungler. You have to make sure people are recognizing, hey, Amumu is getting, trying to go for Scuttle Crab, and he's against the Lee Sin. Maybe I should come down and help him. But I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing or not. It's interesting. And I think these changes will be interesting to play around with. Now, I'm not an expert jungler by any stretch of the imagination. That's not really what I do. So I would say that I think it looks interesting. I think it looks unique. I think it looks like there's potential for these changes. But I'm not going to say like 100% this is like the greatest change or the worst change, because I don't really know. I would say I'm a bit of a neophyte when it comes to this. So let me know what you guys are thinking of these changes down in the comment section below, especially if you are a jungle main. I would love to hear what you guys are thinking of the changes. I will have Riot Soter's thread linked down in the description below if you want to read his thoughts. He's done a lot of commenting on the subject as well to sort of defend his idea. So go ahead and check that out, and then let me know what you guys think of the changes in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. And if you really enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. I upload a video every Monday, Friday, and on patch days as well. And if you're looking for more Grab the Lantern content, you can check out my blog, linked down in the description. I upload an article just about each and every single day for your enjoyment. Once again, thank you guys so very much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I will talk to you all later.